Hello there, my fellow pipe smoking brothers and sisters. How are we doing today? I thought today I would try to do a pipe video that was a little more educational, useful, constructive than a lot of that I've done in the past, where it's more like me just kind of sharing my thoughts on a particular aspect of pipe tobacco and pipe smoking. Um, Hopefully, for those who are new to pipe smoking will find this useful. For those who've been pipe smoking for years, you may kind of go, whatever. Anyway, I just felt like doing something trying to be a little bit more useful and helpful to others. And the subject is packing your pipe. Um, there are a lot of methods out there to pack a pipe. You would think something as simple as taking some tobacco and putting it in a bowl would be pretty straightforward, but actually it's not. There are probably, at least I can think off the top of my head, a good half dozen different methods to pack a pipe. It's kind of interesting. The way I pack my pipe is, I guess let me preface this by saying, this is not the best way to pack a pipe. This is not the way you should pack your pipe. This is not the only way to pack a pipe, obviously. This is the way I pack my pipes, and this method works for me 95% of the time. The other 5% of the time, when it fails, is usually my own fault, but sometimes it may be due to things such as tobacco moisture or things like that. But anyway, most of the time, the way I pack my pipes results in a nice, flavorful, enjoyable smoke. When it comes to packing my pipes, what the main consideration is for me is the tobacco blend a flake or is it not a flake? Here's a flake. What I mean by flake cut, if you don't know, this is Mac Baren's Vanilla Cream flake. This is a flake of tobacco. So is it either in a shape like this, or is it basically everything else? Typical aromatic ribbon cut. Whoops. Well, obviously you know what that is. Ribbon cut. Here is some Carter Hall. This is similar to a ribbon cut, but it's called a shag cut because it's actually a lot smaller. Not really long ribbons. It's called a shag cut. There are other cuts of tobacco. There's crumble cakes. There are ready rubs, broken flakes, cube cuts. But basically, for me, when it comes to packing my pipe, and I've decided on what blend I want to smoke, is it a flake or is it not a flake? That's basically try to keep it that simple. So let's start with the not a flake, because that covers probably, given that breakdown of tobacco cuts, that covers a lot more different blends. Let's go with some GLP's Westminster. This is obviously not a flake. It's got some large chunks in there. It's also got some small pieces. It's almost like a little bit of shag, a little bit of ribbon, a little bit of like almost, I don't know, ready rub kind of. It's just a lot of mix there, but it's not a flake. So let me readjust my camera so you can see this a little better. Bear with me. Okay. So now you can see. Here's the tobacco. Here's the pipe I'm going to be using. This is a Peterson billiard, straight billiard. So what I do is I hold the pipe like this, and I just, usually with 3 fingers, I just kind of grab a pinch of tobacco, about that much, hold the bowl over the tin, and then just let gravity kind of release it slowly, maybe slightly wiggle my fingers back and forth, just let gravity kind of dribble it into the bowl. There you can see it kind of actually fills up the bowl and more. And then I very lightly pack it in there, very lightly. And you know what? I'm going to have to unpack this one because I didn't do it right. Let's empty that out. I took too big of a pinch there. Let's try that again. Take a little smaller pinch this time. Slowly dribble it in there. That's a little better. And gently stuff it down in there, really gently. Should fill it up to maybe about halfway up the bowl, inside of the bowl. Take another small pinch. Kind of loosely dribble it in there. Gently, but a little more firmly than the first time. And I'm sorry, I don't know how to quantify gently and a little more firmly. It's just something you're just going to have to figure out on your own via experience. Kind of pack it in there. Now the bowl should be about 2/3 filled. And take another small little pinch. Dribble it on there. And again, a little bit harder than the second time. Pack it in there. And when I'm all done, it should be about 1/8 of an inch below the top of the bowl, just inside the the smoking chamber, just not all the way up to the very top, just a little bit below, about 1/8 of an inch. Now we can test this, well, how well I did by packing, by just kind of pulling on a little bit. Testing the draw of the pipe, see if it's too tight or too loose. This feels pretty good. Again, I can't tell you exactly what that means. You're just going to have to figure this out by experience yourself about the resistance to pulling on it. It may be like trying to, I don't know, analogous to sucking on a really melted loose milkshake, not a real thick one where you pull your brains out trying to suck one. There's some resistance there, but it's not too bad. So for non-flakes, this is how I pack my pipe. I guess it's called the gravity method or maybe the 3-step method. I've heard names for it, but that's how I do it. It works for me 90-95% of the time. Now let's go on to flake tobacco. Half the time with flake tobacco, I'll either rub it out, and so it gets to the the shape and texture of like a ribbon flake or a shag cut or something like that, and then use the gravity method. Or if I don't feel like doing the rubbing out method, and this time I've got another Peterson pipe, it's a Dublin, I'll do the fold and stuff method, where you literally take the flake, fold it over. You may have to fold it over a couple times. See, I'm folding it over, folding it over, folding it over, and it'll break apart a little bit as you do that. But you basically fold it over, 3 or 4 times, and then you take it, again holding it over your container so you don't spill the crumbs, and just kind of gently stuff it straight down into the pipe. And sometimes you may have to kind of rub the top and break off little bits that extend above the top of the bowl. Use little firm pressure to stuff it in there. You don't do too hard and pack it so tight you can't get any kind of draw on it. But you stuff it in the pipe. There you go. Again, you want to test the draw. You want a little bit. I want a little bit of resistance, not like blowing through a completely empty straw, but not sucking a real thick milkshake. Something in between where I can feel a little resistance and drag as I pull on it, and that's pretty good. And again, you can see where the top of the tobacco comes to about 1/8 of an inch below the top of the bowl. And the reason I do that is when you light this tobacco, it's going to expand a little bit and rise up. It's going to rise up, and I don't want it to rise up too far. Sorry guys. I don't want to rise up too far and then possibly char the top of the bowl, the rim of the bowl. So there you go. That's pretty much how I pack my pipes. Well, all the time. Either, just kind of that little gravity 3-step drizzle method with the loose cut stuff, or if it's a flake, if I don't want to rub it out, I do the fold and stuff method. And it works for me most of the time. I usually almost always get a good smoke out of that. It's easy to light. It stays lit easily, assuming that it's not too wet of a tobacco or something like that. Not always, but most of the time. An advantage of the fold and stuff method of the flake is it seems to smoke a lot slower. I don't know what it is, but when I do the fold and stuff method and keep the flakes intact, it seems to burn a lot slower, and I can get a much longer smoke out of it than a ribbon cut type. But there you go. I hope you found that useful, helpful, interesting, and look forward to reading your comments. Take care, guys.